Greetings and salutations, and I'm back with the Master Mode Terraria, as we'll see in a second, but the thing I wanted to show you that I didn't show you in the Satisfactory game was my brother made me this, which you might not be able to say. It says stool sample. Now you're probably thinking, why would he make you a stool sample? Well, hold on. Take it out. Here's the rest of the container, right? But on it is that, and it's a stool. If I can actually show it, because of my thank you NVIDIA broadcast. It's a tiny stool. It is a stool sample with stool sample on it in a jar that says stool sample. It's a rather clever gift, and he 3D printed it, and I have it, and I'm gonna leave it here on my desk because I think that is just beyond clever. It's like 3 puns in one, so I was all for it. I thought absolutely bananas gift, loved it. Ruthless. And it would be under Mine of Doom. It's been a while since I've done this, and I still fail at killing the worm. I have tried everything. I have tried people's suggestions about and quite literally everything. Like they were saying, "Oh, you just have to go and get specter arrows and use specter arrows." I tried, and it did not go well. So, I mean, I've literally given it my all, and I'm trying to figure out a way to do it, and I'm gonna get there eventually. When and how, I am not 100% certain, but I will eventually get there. Now, I've thought maybe going with like grenades and doing sticky grenades. Perhaps. Perhaps. Maybe sticky grenades is the answer. Because I remember, and this is a very distinct statement that someone made ages ago. They said, remember, in the game, if you can't get even, get explosive. So we'll see. I'm going to try that. Because I know I can buy grenades from... Wait, where did I put the... Okay, those go there. That I need to turn into powder. The bass... I need the worm's tooths, I think. Teeth. Worm's teeth. Why did I call them tooths? Jeez. Come on, man. Ooh, gift. Star anise. Great. Just star anise. Because that's exactly what every single Terraria player wants, is the spice. Maybe. There's the lenses. I knew I had them somewhere. I know I have clouds somewhere too, but I'm not. You know what? We're just gonna put them right in here. I'm gonna sell the bass. I know that they're probably used for something, but I never seem to do enough with the alchemy to really say so. So, dead bunny. I don't know. I should probably branch out and do more alchemy. So I could buy grenades. So that's for 88 copper. I got gold there, but summon her. That's extra damage. Perhaps I should do the grenades. Perfect. And if I recall correctly, the sticky grenades are just gel and a grenade. Right? Or do they not do that? Or is it just sticky bombs? I hope it's not just sticky... Oh, no, there is sticky grenades. Perfect. And you get 5 of them for each grenade. Or 5 for 5 grenades. It doesn't matter. I mean, short of getting the flamethrower, which is a hard mode weapon, which I can't get yet, I have no use for the gel. I mean, yeah, I can make torches, but meh. I'll just sell the star anise. It's fine. Sticky grenades. They don't destroy tiles. Do they stick to enemies? That's only the real question I have. Heard. There's a... Got him. Alright. I can't seem to kill Skeletron. I've already tried. I've got to work on killing the snake. Or at least to a degree that I can farm enough of the materials off of him. The shadow scales. So if I could farm the shadow scales off of him, then I don't have to really worry about it. I could just start making some weaponry to, like, make the Shadow's Edge or Night's Edge or whatever it's called. I should probably wait until the next day. What really gets me, though, is, like, you'd figure that, well, I wait right here. You'd figure that the meteorite would come down. Because they said that after you kill the Eye of Cthulhu, or is it after you kill Skeletron? There's one of them that says after you kill him, the meteorite has a chance to fall. And I figured if the meteorite fell, I could build the ray gun, and then I could go breakdancing poorly. Yeah, it's a joke, by the way. But that's the thing is, like, if it's possible to get the ray gun and do that and do it that way, it might be worthwhile, maybe. But I don't think the ray gun would do it. I'm trying to think. I think that the explosive grenades, the sticky grenades, are going to be the best bet. Because it says 61 damage, and if you look at, like, this is 28, and yeah, with the bonuses and everything, I'm going to get 47 and 80 damage respectively on a crit, but that's not for, obviously, other things. I don't have banners for it, but, you know, when these do 61 damage per grenade, with a 19% critical strike rating, there is a chance. Caught in underground tundra. I might actually go get that. I believe the tundra's off to my left. I believe. I'm also trying to get, like, the endless lava buckets and stuff. Just for the sole purpose of having them. And yes, I tunneled down through here, off to the side, and then got over here, right? And when I got over here, I realized, hey, that was the... I found the spot up above me where it was the sandstone blocks, and I found the pyramid. And so I went up and got in the pyramid from underneath. Because I didn't see the pyramid up near the top, so I didn't know that I had one. Oh, you know what I'm looking forward to in the new year? A lot of things, to be honest with you. With New Year comes new things, new experiences, um, a lot more different things. One of the things I'm looking forward to, quite honestly, is the price of silver going up even more. Like, it's gone up a lot, but I look forward to it more in the new year. I don't know if this is far enough. We're just gonna try, though. And the reason I look forward to the price of silver going up is because there's... The thing about silver is the whole country needs to go back to the silver-backed currency. To be honest with you. Silver and gold-backed currency. I think it would be much more stable you'd have a much more stable monetary system if you did that. Truthfully. Is it feasible? There's room for debate on either side there. You have some analysts that say no. You have some analysts that say yes. Now, I'm not a financial analyst. Not at all. What I am is a person that knows that currency, when you have a currency that's backed by a solid metal, it performs better than things that are fiat. And people say, well, what about fiat currencies? Well, there's tons of fiat currencies out there. So much so that it's, well, kind of crazy. And it would be beneficial to get off those currencies, to be perfectly honest with everybody. And the sooner everybody got off those currencies, the better. Because basically you're just saying your currency's backed by nothing, right? Effectively. When you're like, oh yes, my currency's backed by the petrodollar, so to speak. You're basically just clowning at this point. Because nobody takes currencies backed by, like, the petrodollar seriously anymore. They really don't. And I can't say as I blame them, if you think about it, right? Same can be said for cryptocurrencies to a degree, right? You have people that talk about cryptocurrencies being like the next big thing, and it's like, well, don't be so quick on that one. And the reason I err on the side of caution when it comes to cryptos, is because it's too easy to alter it and rug pull. I mean, for example, when people like Elon Musk said to get Doge, right? And to get the Doge currency, he hyperinflated the Dogecoin, and then it flopped. So, what did we learn? That a few tweets could just hyperinflate something and then just dump it. So there's way too much propensity for a singular thing to kind of go off the rails. That's why I don't like cryptos. I really don't. Like, to me, I've always seen cryptos as a joke. They're not even a meme coin anymore. They're just a joke. And of course, I've been told a lot of things by a lot of people. I've heard people say, "Oh, you don't know that because of insert reason, blah blah blah." And I told my brother, as much as my brother and I get along and we agree on a lot of things, we disagree on other things. This was a while ago. I said, anything on the blockchain can be compromised. And he was adamant that it couldn't. He's like, no, it can't. I said, if it's on the internet, it can be compromised. No two ways about that. And it's the truth. Like, anything on the internet can be compromised. And it's because it's a piece of data. Now, can it be compromised in transit? Well, no. With PGP keys and stuff like that, it's almost impossible to do anything in transit. But any other way, yes. Wait, how on earth did that bat get up there? I mean, yes, there's ways to compromise things in transit too, but it's so limited to get things actually in transit anymore. That the way they go about it nowadays is they just wait for something to be compromised either at the host end or at the client end. So that's all. Does that mean that don't trust anything on the internet? No, not necessarily. How are bats getting in there? I just find it weird that people think that the internet is this hyper secure place. It's not. It really isn't. Like, you hear of data breaches all the time. Whether it be corporation data breaches, client-side data breaches, you name it, that happens more often than people care to talk about. And yes, I realize my character is drowning. Oh, come on. Just give me that fish already. I'm low enough in the Arctic. There it is. I don't need those. What do I get in the present? Ooh, holly can be placed. Nice. I don't even need that anymore. I think I have so many of them. I think I got like 3 more. Really? I can't really put it anywhere right now? Cool. There. Festive food. Not really, but kinda. Bottomless water bucket. That's one of them I was looking for. Now I can build. Gives me +2 range, contains an endless amount of water, can be poured out. It's a material. Perfect. I want that. I wanted that for a long time. It's a great thing. I'll put it over here somewhere. Not in there. Okay, not really in there either. I have nowhere to put it. Nowhere to put it at all. Nope is yet. I could put it there, but that's not really that good. There, put it there. Traveling merchant. What do I have? What do you got? DPS meter. I think I have that. Do I, though? Yes, I do have it. I'm waiting for the one thing I don't have, which I think is the... No, I have the radar, I have the metal detector, the analyzer, the GPS meter, and I have the depth meter. What am I missing? Can't even remember what I'm missing. Code 1's not that good. I don't care about those. Those are just vanity items. I don't care about the bereaved. Code 1's okay, but it's not a material. They don't work that well either. I need to advance to daytime. I know it took me forever. That stupid fish took me forever. But no, what I was trying to say was anything can be compromised on the internet. And I told him this, and he says, "Well, the blockchain can't be compromised." I said, "Yes, it can." So if it's on the internet, it can be compromised. It just people have not figured out how to do it yet. About 3 months later, turned around, blockchain did indeed get compromised, and I was like, "There you go." Which is one of the reasons I don't like crypto. That and the fact that crypto can be altered relatively easily. It can be kind of scammed, so to speak. That was proven with Elon Musk tweeting about Dogecoin ages ago. Now, people say, well, those are not really the reasons to get out of it. This is not investing advice. I would not give investing advice at all. I'm saying from a standpoint of if I am a society, I would base my currency. If I was to build a civilization tomorrow, right? I would base my entire civilization's currency if you required a currency, let's just say, because there are some there are people out there that you could just do, say, the barter system and get by. But let's say you needed a currency. You back it off of something that there is a limited quantity of, right? Precious metals. Something that's not easily achievable, not something that's easily to have, but you back everything by precious metals. Gold, silver, palladium, titanium, what have you. It doesn't matter what precious metals you have, or if it's something precious that it takes a lot to make, you make that. And that's what people should do. That's what civilizations should do. Now, we were taken off the silver-backed currency back in the 70s by Richard Nixon. And he took us off the gold standard, the gold and silver standard. What he said was he did it to prevent the gold speculators from running the market. Okay. But what exactly is a gold speculator, and what makes it such a threat to the market? They never really did answer that question throughout all these years. It's kind of suspicious. And because it never gets really fully fleshed out and talked about, they don't really mention why it was that big of an issue to remove us. But what it did is it destabilized the currency. And it made it so that the currency was backed by literally nothing. Just Mickey Mouse. It's just kind of there. And it made it weaker. So this is what causes, starts causing an inflation of the dollar. And then, of course, the massive printing through the Federal Reserve and everything creates the inflation further. And it just gets exacerbated and worse and worse and worse. Now, how do you stop that from happening? Well, one of the things you can do to stop it from happening is you can have the Treasury and the Federal Reserve basically start pulling money off the market and destroying it, which would deflate your currency. That's kind of literally the manual way of doing it. Because the less of it that's in circulation, the more it's worth, technically. But does that work? Well, no, it won't be the solution at all. It's kind of a half-hearted solution. Nope, not working. Nope, grenades don't work. Star Fury still works better. Because the stars can rip through it. I'm almost tempted to go down to the water, down to the lava level, build a whole thing, chuck the voodoo doll in the bottom, and then just have it come after us. And just push it into hard mode. And try. Because I figure if I can push it into hard mode and kill the wall of flesh before I can kill those other things, it'd be much easier. Get into hard mode, get the flamethrower, kill the other things, go loot the stuff. Might actually be easier, come to think of it. It's worth a shot, and I might actually do that. But like I was saying about the whole currency thing, by physically removing the currency, yeah, it makes it worth more, but it's not exactly the best way to do things. Now, what's one of the best ways to solve the whole problem as a whole completely permanently? Well, there's a few things you can do. And I've talked about this before, and people would say, well, it's kind of political, but it's not really, if you honestly think about it. All I'm merely suggesting is that people use what they have available to them as constitutional rights to achieve this goal. And it's easy enough to do. And that is, you have to pretty much call a constitutional convention and get an amendment to the Constitution that makes both insider trading and effectively campaign contributions and other things like that that are purchased by corporations. You can basically say, hey, we're getting the corporations out of politics. If you do that by using an amendment, a constitutional amendment to say we're getting the donor class out of politics, that's one way to do it, right? And then the other thing you have to do is you have to get rid of lobbyists and NGOs, because NGOs are effectively how you launder money in the United States, in any government, really. So how it works is this, and people say, well, that's conspiracy. It's not conspiracy when, you can kind of see where the fraud kind of comes in, right? So person A goes through an NGO, which is a non-governmental organization. The non-governmental organization basically says, hey, you give us this, we give you, you give us money, and we'll do some sort of pet research project. And they've done a whole bunch of pet research projects that don't really yield anything of value. Like they did, one of the things they did a pet research project on was like the mating rituals of the something or other badger. It's just stupid. But yet these pet projects get millions of dollars. They did one actually that was found out that they were building a climate resistant school in Pakistan. And this was actually found by the Doge cuts, just so you know. So it is, you can look it up. Anybody can look it up. And the climate resistant school in Pakistan was like to the tune of $155 million. And when you saw it, and people went out and found it, and they took a look at the ones that were built. And the ones that were built were basically sandstone structures with wood, with like wood tables. They were not anywhere near $155 million worth of equipment. Not even remotely close. And so it raised the question, like, what on earth are we paying for? And a lot of people had that thought. And what we found was, hey, we're paying for minimal stuff. But what actually happens? Well, these people get the money. They go over there to do the project, like building the climate-resistant school. But it doesn't make it to the school. A portion of the funds make it to the school. A portion of the funds make it to the person's pocket as a personal donation. And then a portion of the funds, a large portion of the funds, go to political action conferences or political action groups, super PACs, etc. And that money gets put back into the coffers of campaign contributions, effectively taking earmarked money for other programs being put into a slush fund overseas, which then gets funneled back through corporate donors, etc., and makes its way back to the politicians' pockets. There's also insider trading that occurs. For example, if I was to give you two names and ask you who made more percentage-wise on the market, between these two, you would probably be surprised. But then again, maybe not. So the two people would be Warren Buffett, who was a known billionaire, who's an investor. He's put a lot of money into a lot of markets. And the other one would be Nancy Pelosi. Now, between those two, who do you think made the highest percentage return on highest ROI percentage, return on investment percentage between those two? If you guessed Nancy Pelosi, you'd be right. She far outpaced Warren Buffett on her investments. Now, people would say, well, maybe she was just a savvy market mover. No, I'm not going to say that. And the reason I won't say that is you have Warren Buffett, who primarily, that's the only medium he works in, is markets. And he knows his markets. He's done them a lot throughout his life. And you're telling me that this market mover that's been prolific in the stock market, who lost his shirt on a few stocks, got outdone by a sitting U.S. senator. It's a bit suspicious, isn't it? It is to me. Now, of course, people would say, wow, you're just having a problem with it because you're not the one making money. No, see, again, I'm not going to give you investing. I'm not going to claim I know about investing. I'm not going to claim I know about anything outside of what I do know. And what I do know is it's just a little suspicious. That's all. You know, when you notice, it's kind of like the people that say, when somebody wins one time, there's nothing really suspicious there. They won once. Awesome. When someone wins all the time, now you're starting to raise a few eyebrows. And that's when things get a little weird. I'm not saying she won all the time, but she won the majority of the time. So it's just a little suspicious, that's all. Now, there's other people that have done suspicious things too. But here's the other thing that I want to talk about. And I like talking about this kind of stuff while playing a game. Reason being, some people don't like to talk about it. I do. I generally try to stay apolitical. I honestly, I make a concerted effort of staying apolitical. For the most part. And the reason is because with as divisive as politics is, it's kind of the last thing you really need to be doing. I mean, truthfully, we don't really need to be going down through and making more divisiveness on politics. But there's things that, whoops, didn't want to do that. There's things that really kind of, not really irk me, but it makes me question how these people get to that thought process and how they get to that conclusion, right? And I'm talking, of course, about the whole tax the rich people, okay? And it's fine to have a tax code. I mean, personally, I think taxation is complete theft, but let's not go there. Let's say you have a tax code and you want to tax the wealthy people. Now, you have to tax based on income, okay? And, of course, the people immediately default to people like Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk. And they go, see, those are the ones right there. Those are the ones you gotta tax. The Elon Musks and the Jeff Bezoses and... Okay, well, let's think about that. Through a rudimentary Google search that anybody can do, and by anybody, I quite literally mean any single person can put this in, right? They can put it, they can just sit down to their keyboard and type the annual salary Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos' annual salary. And what you will find is he makes roughly $86,000. That's it. That's all he makes. Now, of course, you have a whole bunch of people that immediately don't believe it. And they say, well, no, he's got to be making more than that. No, he doesn't. He can set his money to set his salary to anything he wants. He makes $86,000. I know people that make roughly what he makes. They're only, I mean, just about. They only make, they make maybe 2,000-3,000 less, 5,000 less. They're making roughly the same bracket of money. And let me tell you, the reason why they take those pay cuts is because they know how to work the tax code. Think about it. These people know in their heart of hearts how to sit there and say, well, we don't want to pay more in taxes. So in order to not pay more in taxes, we are going to immediately run the tax code by effectively saying, no, I'm going to take less money. And by taking less money, they no longer get taxed at the rate that they should, right? And this is true. They are actually taking a pay cut to avoid paying higher taxes. As a matter of fact, Elon Musk doesn't get paid anything at all. His annual salary is options. Stock options. Personal options for other companies. That's what he gets paid in. He gets paid in stock options. He doesn't actually get a physical income. He gets a percentage of whatever his monetary value is for companies that he owns, and he gets them in stock options. Which means he's not technically making an income. Now, how does this work? Well, you can't tax people on net worth holdings, which is what people sit there and say, well, they're billionaires. Yes, they're billionaires. Multi-billionaires on paper. Because everything they have is a liquidatable asset. That by everything, I literally mean everything. As in their fleet of cars, the trucks shipping goods to and from, the fleet of planes shipping goods to and from, their brick and mortar stores, their workshops, their people, all of it is an asset. All of those assets have a value. All of that value is then, listed as a physical asset. Now, when you list all these things as assets, you can't tax people on net worth. Because if you could, if you were to start taxing people on net worth, these people would just pack up and leave. They'd go to a tax haven. Like Taiwan, Hong Kong, something like that. They would just say, oh, well, all of our companies are now over here in this tax haven. And you'd never get any money from them, and basically everything would go broke. Because the people that can't move would be stuck. And they would be stuck paying the hefty taxes. Do you know who gets paid more than Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk? Your politicians. And by your politicians, I mean all of them. Every congressman gets paid $145,000 to $170,000 annually. They get paid almost twice what Bezos does. Almost twice. Yeah. So, you're asking people who took a job that was originally a voluntary position. Elected officials were voluntary back in the day. And you're asking these people who make hundreds of thousands of dollars and then take even more money in via lobbyists, donations, NGOs, you name it, insider trading possibly, APAC dollars. It's mishmash of wherever they get their money from, and you're asking them to pay more in taxes. Noble thought. Really is a noble thought. they're not going to, but it really is a noble thought. So what you do is you have to do this by the book. You have to do constitutional conventions. And the constitutional conventions aren't going to be well liked, but you do them and you can get this stuff removed. And then you can also impose term limits. And of course, people would say, well, okay, so you can impose term limits that way. Yes, you can. And they said, well, why wouldn't Congress just vote for term limits? It's time to put on our thinking caps. Let's say you're at a job, and your job now says, we are going to effectively tell you can only work here 2 years. It's a high-paying job. It's got a lot of perks. You get a lot of other perks that maybe you don't talk about. You know, kickbacks here and there. And one of your coworkers is like, we're going to try to get it so that we can't work here forever. How many people are going to sit there and go, sounds good, let's do that? Not many. It's kind of like the people that say, yes, those all that was destroyed in a when they go and they seize certain things in police auctions, or not police auctions, but they go and they seize certain things in these police raids, and they go and they seize other things on like drug boats, and they say, well, we seized their drugs and we destroyed them. Would you really? We've already learned through things like Fast and Furious that that's not the truth. Cue the Maury Povich meme. And the lie detector test proved that that was a lie. The reason I say this, think about it. You are an agency. You just seized tens of millions of dollars worth of third world product trying to be shipped in illegally. Are you going to burn a paycheck? No. You're going to hawk it to the highest bidder from another country. And when you do, you're going to take that money and you're going to do other things with it. Extra budget items that don't really go on the books. And people would say, wait a minute, you can't prove this. You're right, I can't. I can merely speculate. And my speculations make sense. Realistically speaking, they do. Because it wouldn't make any sense to just eliminate a paycheck as anybody. Realistically. It'd be like me asking any individual that works at a factory or something, would you mind destroying your paycheck? Pretty sure everybody would be like, are you kidding me? Are you insane? Well, why not? You're asking government officials to do the very same. That's a bit weird, isn't it? Now you know why they don't. And of course, people would say, well, again, that's speculation. You're right, it is. It's 100% speculation. Because I can only speculate. And the reason why it's 100% speculation is because there's no concrete proof that it happens. Then again, there's no concrete proof to the contrary either. So, just because there's an absence of evidence doesn't mean there's an absence of crime either. So, just saying. They say, well, you know, innocent until proven guilty. Okay, yeah, sure. But why is that always a one-way street when it's with a lot of things? With other things, that they don't have a problem being like guilty till we don't have to worry about it, which is true. Happens a lot. I'm just saying it's a little curious, that's all. You don't have to read too much into it. I mean, again, people would say, well, he's just a conspiracy theorist. Yeah, well, yeah, you're true. It's true. I am. But it's not wrong to be critical about certain things, right? And to sit there and look at it with a critical eye. Never really hurts to do that and pay attention to it. It's only because if you pay attention and you watch, you'll learn a lot. You'll learn a lot because you'll just be sitting there going, that's curious. And from that curiosity will then be another question and another question and more questions. It's all said and done, you're like, and I'm not the only one. A lot of people are waking up to it. A lot of people are questioning it, which is a good thing. And the more that people question it, the better off it is. I'm going to fish up this last fish. And, unfortunately, I'm going to have to call it, even though I didn't make much progress again. I'm going to try to push it into hard mode. Because I think if I push it to hard mode, I might be able to actually get further in the game. Which seems weird. Even though I can't kill the current bosses. Sweet. Another bottomless water bucket. A life preserver, huh? There you go. He looks like he was gonna drown, so I figured I'd give it to him. There we go. Wonder how many bottomless water buckets I'm gonna get before I lose my mind. Quite literally, one of the things that I try to tell everybody, and I'm gonna say it here, is all you have to do really is just ask yourself who stands to gain. That's it. That's the question. You hear anything in the news, who stands to gain? It's a simple logic puzzle. But you take the whole tax the rich crowd. I want to know the logic in that. They say, well, if we take money from them, we give it to the poor people, then it'll be fine. But it won't. You start taxing the rich people, they just pack up shop and go, I'm out. And then they're gone. Then who shoulders the tax burden? Middle class, lower class, businesses. Those go out of business. Why? Higher overhead. It's the same thing with saying, when you raise the minimum wage, like, oh, if we raise the minimum wage, we'll have more money. But you won't. Because when you raise the minimum wage, what happens? Sure, you have an influx of money for now. But then other companies have to raise the minimum wage. And because now they have a higher overhead, the cost of products comes up. But chances are the cost of products exceeds what you're making for money. Your best bet is to learn to invest, to learn to save, and to budget. Those are the 3 things that I could tell people. Learn how to do those things. If you live inside your means, you don't have to worry. Most people don't live inside their means. Most people spend. And then they go, I don't have any money. Why not? I was telling, back when I was doing substitute teaching, before I got canned for making a joke. And yes, I made a joke to build rapport. Was it a joke I should have made? No, it wasn't. And I got canned for it. You know what? Don't care. I was planning on quitting anyway, because it was scab work. A whole bunch of union schleps basically weren't doing anything, and they call in people for per diem work, and you get paid a whole lot less than they do, and they could sit there and plan out exactly how many days they want to be gone. But I digress. When I was a substitute teacher, I told these people, I said, look, if you want to lower your income, if you want to lower the cost of goods, you have to lower the minimum wage. You make it merit-based and say, well, the minimum wage is, say, $5. But the harder you work, the more you make. Now, certain businesses that pay terribly will go out of business. Why? They'll have no customers because they'll have no employees. There you go. Meanwhile, the people that pay well and do well will have an influx of things. See? But you have crony capitalism right now. And you have these people believing that if you raise the minimum wage, it's going to make money. It doesn't. What I was telling these students down here is that, when you get fresh out of high school, I said, go to a trade school. Learn a trade. Welding, electrician, carpentry, something. Start a business. I said, there were people out there that made millions of dollars running a sewage company. Pumping toilets. And they have their own fleet of trucks now, and they're millionaires. Because they're doing a service that most people don't want to do. I said, now, you could go out there and get a job at, like, 7-Eleven, or Dollar General, or Walmart, right? And they were like, well, yeah, but they don't pay much. Yeah, they don't. They make $26,000 to $30,000 a year. It's bog standard labor. But if you're living at home with your parents and you're only making $26,000 a year and you save the majority of that money, you pay for your own bills, you pay for your car, your phone, etc., your health insurance, so on and so forth. You pay your bills, and you maybe pitch a couple $100 to your parents for rent, but you stay at home. You save up the majority of your money. You don't buy a whole bunch of luxury goods. 3-4 years at the age of 21, 22, you can put a down payment and start mortgaging a house in the $56,000 to $70,000 range for houses. And if you live in an area where it's rural countryside, the houses are priced right around that. It's not impossible to be a homeowner. You just have to be wise with your money. But most people that come fresh out of high school, they're not wise with their money. They're foolish. And a fool and their money soon part ways. And I had these kids down here going, it's not a bad idea. I said trade skills. I said pipe welders. This was back a while ago. This is probably 5-6 years ago now. I said pipe welders make anywhere from $85 to $115 an hour. And they're like, I said, yeah, you're just welding pipe. It has to be done right. But you're in hot conditions. you're in cramped conditions, and you're getting basically hazard pay. And it's not a fun job. People don't like doing it. And I said, that's why it gets the big bucks. But if you do it and you stick it out and you gut it out, you're going to be making bank. You're going to be working 6 to 8 hours a day in a pipe, just welding with a welder's mask on. Yeah, it sucks. It's hot work in a cramped area, especially in the middle of summer. But would that pay? Yeah, that's what I tried to do. I tried to get people to understand how economies work. Like, one of the best things, and I'm just going to be the last thing I say because this is running on an hour now. One of the things I told these students down here, I said, let's keep the business model small, the number simple, so that it's easier to digest and easier to understand. I said, let's say you have a business, and I said, and your business employs 7 people. And your business takes in $1,000 a month. And we're keeping the numbers small to make it simple. They're like, okay. I said, now, you spend $200 to $200 to $300 on overhead. I said that's building rentals, electricity. That's all your bills to pay for the business property side. And they're like, all right. I said, now, with that $700 you have left in your business, you have to make sure that all your people are paid equally. I said, well, still trying to make a profit for your business. I said, so you start paying your employees, say, $50 a month. You keep money for yourself, right? So now your business is taking in money. You make $1,000. You get to make $1,000 a month. 300 of it's gone. So the 700 that's left, and you employ 7 people. 7 times 50 is 350. So now you're at 650 out the door. I said, now you as the boss, you have to pay yourself. So let's say you pay yourself the same as the employees, $50. That's $800, or $650, $700 out the door. You have $300 left over in overhead capital. And they're like, okay. I said, but wait. The employees want a raise. Cost of living went up, so the employees get a higher wage. Now they're making $100 a month. I said, now you're a dead heat. You're making $0 for the company because you have to pay yourself, and you have to pay your 7 employees. Actually, you can't do that because if you have 7 employees at $100 a month and $300 for overhead, you pay yourself nothing, or you let somebody go. So you let somebody go and you pay yourself money. Okay. Well, now because you let somebody go, social programs, you have to pay the unemployment. It's got to come out of people's taxes. So now your overhead went up by another $50. Oops. Now you can't pay the bills anymore. Now you got to let somebody else go. You can't give them a pay cut. So you let somebody else go. So now you have an extra $100, but now you have to pay that $50. So now you actually are only making $50. You could take a pay cut, sure, as the boss, but now you're making less than your people. You're making less than your employees. I said, do you see the cycle here? So because now more people are on the government dole, more taxation comes out of people, which means they're going to want more money. And because the second person just got let go, they're going to want more money now because, well, I have to pay more in taxes to pay for their unemployment, to pay for their benefits programs. So then the extra employees that you have left start asking for more money. So now you have to pay them $150 a month. But now you can't afford it, so now you got to let more people go. See how it's a cycle? So once you start doing higher wages, it increases the cost of goods, which then costs the company more in overhead, which then makes the company have to let people go, which then costs more in overhead, which then make people ask for more money, which then costs more in overhead. It's a cycle. The only way to unplug from that cycle is to start lowering the minimum wage, lowering the taxes, and getting people back in businesses, back in jobs. It's the only way to do it. And I was getting people to understand that, and they were like, oh. And I was like, yeah. They started to get it. And they're like, man, you should write a book. And I was like, why? This is common knowledge for anybody that's it even takes 2 seconds to flip open an economy book and understand that once you start increasing the cost, once you start increasing people's pay, you're going to increase the cost of goods, because now you have companies that have to cover the overhead of these people that are getting paid more in their companies. Every producer that has to hire people to pick things like pick vegetables, smelt metal, carve wood, you hire somebody and now they're getting paid more. Now you have to have more overhead, which means your cost of goods has to go up, which means people need to get paid more. It's a cycle. It's not hard to understand. I hope everybody enjoyed this video. I know I did. Even though I didn't make much progress, I hope everybody enjoyed the video. I hope everybody enjoyed my 3D printed stool sample. I think this is a clever gift. I love it. I hope everybody enjoyed everything that went on here today. And, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Now, I hope everybody has a fantastic evening, a wonderful tomorrow. This video will be going up on the 31st. So, with this video going up on the 31st, I will see you tonight when I stream, starting right around 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come on in, have a chat. I could talk just about pretty much anything. We can have a substantive discussion. That'd be wonderful. But I hope everybody joins me on the live stream. If you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. Hey, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. I'm going to do it anyway because I love to do it. But I hope everybody has a fantastic evening, a wonderful tomorrow. And as always, have a good one. And we're going to go into the new year, and good things are going to happen for people. You watch.